I'm Rob from Dowdle Family Farms, and I'm in a bit of a pickle with our breeder pigs. If you're new to the channel, I'm on this mission to grow more of our livestock feed on our farm while regenerating the soil health on our farm with cover crops and livestock, especially with the pigs. Let me give you some updated information on some changes that have taken place on the part of the farm where we breed our pigs, and then I'll delve more into this predicament that I've gotten myself into. So the pickle that I've gotten myself into, as you can see, the old breeder pigs right over there underneath my finger near that black tote, they are grazing, they're eating their grain. And then I've got the new breeder pigs in this same paddock, and they have been fighting. Big pigs tend to bully little pigs as they establish dominance. For the most part, things go well. They just fight. As long as there's room for the little pigs to get out of the way, they do well. There are two problems with this, and I'll address those in a minute. But let me show you first a little bit about an update on this part of the farm where we have our breeder pigs. Now, this wooded lot right here is a little over an acre. I keep our pigs in here in and out through the fall and the winter particularly. It keeps the pigs off the cover crop fields, and I can subdivide parts of these woods with poly fencing to keep the pigs not in one spot the whole time. Of course, we've got water all around it, and it's just a real easy area to keep our pigs over the winter, especially when it's wet. And then on the other side of that water tank, in the distance right there, you can see right there in that water tank, there's about an acre and a half maybe of part of a cover crop field that I graze our pigs on. Sorry for the interruption. The new pigs are coming around for scratches. Oh, I got one nibbling on my backside. Anyway, back to the paddock. At that little post there, there's a fence that runs over there. From that line over there, there's about 2.5 acres from where I'm standing, and then all in here where I can grow cover crops. When I first started growing cover crops for livestock, I started off with sorghum sudan grass, and I just put 1/2 acre in a garden area on the other side of the hill, just on this side of those trees there. And then I planted another 1/2 acre or so right here at the top of this field. And I wasn't really knowing what to do. I was just planting the sorghum sudan grass to give it a try. So I wound up setting up a polywire temporary fence and grazing it with cows. And I slowly started coming out here. But as you can see, we've got a barn there, we've got another barn over there, the entrance to the farm is over there. And so it's just been a little bit of a hassle to try to graze it. And I had this area right here that I would put pigs in for a while, but last year you can see the remnants of pigweed that grew up, sprouted. It's just been a really chaotic because there was not a whole lot of planning put into setting up the fencing on the farm here to manage it for growing cover crops and livestock. And in the meantime, we've had a hard time getting cows because we have to manage this cover crop so that the cows aren't hurt by them, but we also have to get cows on the bottom down there by the creek. So what I've done is set up back fencing. So I've got the areas where I've planted in cover crops done with a perimeter fence. Now, areas where cows are going to have access to the back of it, if I want to keep the cows out of the cover crop fields, I've got this 3-wire fence here. Now, I keep this top wire off unless cows are in here so that I can just easily step over it. But I've got the 2-strand wire there for my pigs. Again, remember, these are just breeder pigs out here. So I've got one paddock here that's about 0.8 of an acre. I've got 1.5 acres of a paddock right here that may wind up being subdivided. I've got 0.8 of an acre paddock there. And then in the back, just on the other side of the tip of these trees there, I've got, I think that's about 1 acre to 1.5 acres. I think it's right at 1.1 acres or something like that. I've also got about 1 acre that I can put pigs in and grow cover crops for. That's my old garden area, and also on the other side of this edge of trees, there's an upslope there, and up there is where I have some of my chestnut trees, fruit trees, blueberries, and that kind of thing. So I moved these new breeder pigs into the field yesterday. The new breeder pigs were up there where I was training them to the electric fence. Let me take you over there and show you where that is. But last year, the only time I grazed pigs in this garden area was when I was training Ferdinand and those other sows in April, about this same time of the year, to the electric fence right up the slope here. This area has been overgrown now, and if we had put cows or pigs in it, now cows aren't going to eat this stuff, but they'll help keep it down. But if we had put cows or pigs in this area, they would have done fine on. Now, this is where I trained both of my current groups of breeder pigs to the electric fence. This is the first paddock that I put the breeder pigs in. I pulled the livestock trailer up there, turned them loose into it, and you could see the polywire electric fence. The pigs were trained to the electric fence. They did really well in here, and it's worked well for both groups of pigs. The problem with this design is that the pigs do not know how to move from the paddock very easily. Let me show you what I mean down here in the sunlight, where I can actually get to it a little bit better. What the pigs have to do is they've got to come out of this paddock, walk out here, and then go into that paddock. Now obviously I did not have the fence up there, but they're so used to having this fence right here that they're already nervous. If they're not trained to the electric fence already, they're already nervous about it. So then, most livestock do not make U-turns or corners very well. If I had a paddock set up right here where I'm standing, it would have been a much easier move for them to come straight out. But asking them to make a U-turn when they're still not used to how we move our pigs through the electric fences is a little bit of a hassle. The pigs were in this paddock for 2 or 3 days. I did not have cow panels along the back, so they could have escaped here, but by 10 days, those new pigs were trained. They'd never been on electric fences. I pulled the electric fence down from that end, just came in here, and kept just enough pressure on them that just so that they felt a little bit of pressure to move out of this pen. Once they did, I had Bubba over here to help because I thought it'd be chaotic, and it was incredibly easy. Bubba kept them from getting into the pond here, and we just moved them directly into the cover crop field right there. And that's the paddock. Let me see if I can zoom in here and show you. And that's the paddock that they were in. That's the hairy vetch and all that. So I'm walking back now to where the breeder pigs are. But the point that I wanted to make is that I moved the breeder pigs in here, and it took yesterday, and it took a little bit of pressure, but it was a world of a lot easier than I thought it would be. In fact, I had waited several days until I had some help. So this morning, when I got out here, I noticed that one of the new breeder pigs was in this paddock. Now, I think she was cycling, and I think she smelled Ferdinand and wanted to get over there with a boar, but my point, she was across the fence. I had planned on keeping each of these groups of pigs in here separately but together for at least a week and a half to 2 weeks. In part, I wanted to be able to feed the new breeder pigs more. They need to put on some more muscle mass. They're almost a year old, but they've been grown pretty slowly. But I also wanted them to be a little bit older before they were exposed to the boar. But she jumped through the fence, and so she was the smallest of them. And so I went on and moved the other 5. But my point is, all I had to do is I called all the pigs over here to me. I unhooked these 2 handles. That wire is hot. The power is fed from that direction. But because those yellow handles right there are solid, I could grab them as long as I didn't touch the wire, set them off to the side. And it took about 5 or 6 minutes, but I didn't have to push the pigs. I just stood over there and called them, and they came on. So these new pigs right here that you see in the background are learning that when I set the fence down that they can cross it. If they don't see it, it's not there. And that's the beauty of raising pigs on pasture. These pigs so far are getting accustomed to our system. They're learning that they can cross electric fencing when it's pulled down without getting shocked. But again, I had to herd the pigs through the fence the first time because they weren't used to the system. So 2 things to note about my predicament. First, I've got the older breeder pigs in here with the younger breeder pigs and the newer breeder pigs, and they're gonna fuss and fight and tussle around some. I think they've got enough space that I don't have to worry a whole lot. I will have to be very careful in how I feed those pigs though, because they're not going to let the younger pigs eat, and I want those younger pigs to eat more, which is the biggest problem with this scenario. And that is, I wanted to be able to feed those breeder pigs separately. I wanted them to gain some more muscle mass, and I wanted them not to be bred quite as small as they are. But it's more important, I think, to keep the pigs together. And therein lies one of the problems with raising all your breeder pigs in one small area. If they know that there's a boar around, or if a boar knows that a breeder pig, or if a boar knows that a gilt or sow is cycling, it's a little bit unreasonable to think that they're not going to jump through the electric fence. Ferdinand never has, but he's never been quite tempted until yesterday, and that other sow jumped over, that other gilt jumped over to come to him. Most importantly, however, I've seen pigs climb 4 or 5, 6 foot fences. We had a boar that would jump through an electric fence that had 10,000 volts on it. He jumped through 5 fences to get to a sow that was cycling. That's just one of the problems, and we're not set up for that, so I'm kind of having to have these pigs over here in this area. We'll see how it goes. I'll try to update you again later. But that's the predicament. This is the new setup on the farm. I'll have another video that shows more about how this cover crop of hairy vetch and clover is performing at a later time. Take care and have a great day.